he being what he was, life got a little out of hand.
Interesting facts about famous people.
Some of the best John Wayne Western movie scenes. Wayne. This tough cowboy dominated the Western genre for decades, captivating fans with his charisma and swagger. We all saw many of the Duke's films. Wayne appeared in over 250. We've received one for the searchers. Does anyone disagree? One need only look at his filmography to notice a handful of classic films: The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, Sands of Iwo Jima, The Quiet Man, Rio Bravo, The Shootist, and Stagecoach, among many more. Each of these films come with memorable scenes, be it a line of dialogue, an action sequence, or a simple character to show off his charm and charisma. With plenty of Duke moments to choose from, which were the best? I've done a deep dive into Wayne's many films and came up with this video of the greatest John Wayne movie scenes. Indulge me, some of these are just my favourite moments. Let me know yours. If you enjoy this video, hit the notification button to get my new videos. If you want to check out my many other videos, head over to my channel. The link is in the description. Let's get into it. The Alamo, 1960. Wayne pulled double duty as director and star of The Alamo. Wayne delivers an epic that should have received more recognition than it did, mainly due to its sheer ambition. The crown jewel of this production is the massive set piece that sees Davy Crockett, Wayne, Jim Bowie, Richard Widmark, William B. Travis, Lawrence Harvey, and other legendary actors face off with General Santa Anna's Mexican army. Impressive in its scope and scale, the climatic battle is a breathtaking achievement to behold. Our heroes fight to the bitter end. Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier, is impaled with a lance, but still manages to go out with a bang. Literally. He dives into a powder magazine with a torch in hand and blows himself to kingdom come. A horrible end for a legendary hero. Travis and Bowie likewise die in combat. The battle ends in a victory for the Mexican army, a very poignant ending for a John Wayne film. El Dorado, 1966, The Final Shootout. John Wayne and director Howard Hawks team up for the fourth time on El Dorado, a film about an aging gunfighter named Cole Thornton, Wayne, who aids Sheriff J.P. Hurrah, Robert Mitchum, in his quest to stop a crew of evil ranchers pestering the denizens of El Dorado over water rights. The simplistic story, based on the novel The Stars in Their Courses by Harry Brown, is merely an excuse to give Wayne another opportunity to demonstrate his red-blooded machoism, and the Duke doesn't disappoint. Despite taking a bullet in the back early in the film that results in spontaneous temporary paralysis on the right side of his body, Thornton manages to kill the bad guys and save the day during the thrilling climax, following a series of kidnappings, blackmail and murders. Evildoers Jason, Ed Asner, and Nels McLeod, Christopher George, confront a wagon-riding Thornton in front of the local saloon at night. Our hero's right hand is visibly crippled, but that impairment isn't enough to prevent him from leaping off the wagon and blasting McLeod with a carefully concealed shotgun. Even after a bullet grazes his leg, Thornton dispatches the remaining bad guys with minimum effort, while Hurrah, Mississippi, James Caan, and Joey, Michelle Carey, provide support. Don't mess with John Wayne, people, no matter the situation.
McLeod, you didn't give me any chance at all, did you?
No, I didn't.
Hondo, 1953. Teaching a boy to swim. John Wayne was a tough man with an intolerance for weakness. He portrayed heroes who worked hard and expected the same of others, even kids. There's a great scene in The Cowboys, in which he helps a young boy with his stuttering by berating the child in front of his friends. Enraged, the kid curses out Wayne's character, eventually shouting, "You goddamn mean, dirty son of a bitch," without fumbling his words. Satisfied, Wayne retorts, "I wouldn't make a habit of calling me that, son." Chism, 1970. Chism stands up for white buffalo. The story focuses on the Lincoln County War of 1878. Respected cattle rancher John Chism, John Wayne, fought back against conniving businessmen operating a dry goods monopoly. The conflict is notable for its legendary participants, Billy the Kid and Pat Garrett, portrayed in the film. The film exaggerated the melodrama and retells the story for its own devices. Chism remains one of the better John Wayne films to emerge in the latter half of his career. The Duke is in form, shooting bad guys with his revolver. The best scene in the picture happens when Wayne stands up for a former rival named Chief White Buffalo. The Native American has a history with Chism, dating back to the old days, when the duo fought each other over land, but has now developed a respect for each other. When an Army First Sergeant lays hands on the chief, Chism calmly pulls him aside and growls, "One other thing you ought to know, Sergeant. You touch White Buffalo again and I'll kill you." The moment captures the essence of Chism, a man who fights for the dignity of others, even his enemies. The Shootist, 1976. The Saloon Shootout. John Wayne concluded his impressive career by teaming up with Don Siegel for the 1976 western The Shootist. The Duke stars as known gunfighter J.B. Brooks, who is told he's dying of cancer, travelling to Carson City, Nevada, to live out his final days. He befriends a widow, Lauren Bacall, and her young son, Gillum, Ron Howard, who is instantly taken with Brooks' violent history. As word spreads of Brooks' desire to go out with a bang, several of his past enemies arrive for a shot at the crown. Appropriately, the story plays out inside a saloon, where Brooks engages in a final shootout with three gunfighters. Brooks wins, but is soon shot in the back by a cowardly bartender. Gillum arrives and shoots the bartender, and then tosses the gun away, repulsed by his actions. Brooks silently nods his approval, offers a grin, and then he dies. This was the Duke's last film. He would die of cancer 3 years later. The Shootist sums up his career and legacy. Tall in the Saddle, 1944, The Poker Game, one of John Wayne's forgotten gems. This B-movie action-adventure checks every box on the list of Western cliches, but still manages to entertain, thanks to some fine performances. There are several memorable moments to choose from here, but the scene that takes the cake is the one in which Rockland, Wayne, sits down for a poker game with some two-faced players, including the loud-mouthed Clint Haroldie, Russell Wade. During the final round, Clint plays a dead card that gives him the upper hand. Rockland tries to take the money, noting that the illegal card doesn't count, but Clint inexplicably pulls a gun. Ever the cool-headed cowboy, Rockland quietly stands, turns, and heads upstairs. Clint boasts about his winnings and brushes off the warning of the bartender, who suggests he hightail it out of the saloon because Rockland is the kind who comes back. Sure enough, all eyes turn towards the top of the stairs, where Rockland quietly re-emerges with a gun. He walks down the steps, the wood creaking beneath his feet, approaches Clint and demands his money. Clint obliges and even apologizes for his actions. Rockland says nothing, collects his cash and heads back upstairs. A classic scene that proves John Wayne is the ultimate king of cool. Rio Bravo, 1959, the opening scene. In the late 50s, John Wayne realised he would play a cowboy for the rest of his life. He had just released a series of box office failures following his critically acclaimed turn in The Searchers, and desperately needed a win. Howard Hawks' 1959 classic, Rio Bravo, a film so successful that Wayne and Hawks would remake it twice more as El Dorado in 1966 and Rio Lobo in 1970. The story follows Sheriff John T. Chance, Wayne, teaming up with alcoholic former lawman Dude, Dean Martin, and a young hotshot called Colorado, Ricky Nelson, to fend off the gang of a criminal recently arrested for murder. A little slow on action, Rio Bravo is one of the Duke's best films thanks to strong performances, plot, and characters. One of Wayne's all-time best scenes, an extended opening sequence that aptly establishes the plot using minimal dialogue. The scene begins with Dude stumbling into a bar looking for a drink. Joe Burdette, Claude Akins, eggs him on by tossing a coin into a spittoon. Before Dude can reach in and grab the money, Chance arrives and stops him. Angry, Dude knocks Chance out, resulting in a bar fight that leads to an unnamed cowboy dead. Joe heads to another bar, but Chance, bleeding from Dude's attack, arrives and arrests him. Simple storytelling at its best. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, 1962. Tom burns his ranch. Wayne co-starring with James Stewart, Liberty Valance, details Ransom Stoddard's dealing with the character played by Lee Marvin. Ransom is a believer in the law and objects to the use of force to bring Valance down. Tom Donifon, Wayne, a local cowboy, stands up for Ransom and teaches him to shoot. But the two men never see eye to eye, mainly because they're locked in a love triangle involving Hallie Stoddard, Vera Miles. After more violence, Ransom confronts and kills Valance, following an intense standoff. The incident allows Ransom to marry Hallie, which breaks Tom's heart, resulting in one of John Wayne's finest moments as an actor. Tom goes back to his ranch, which he was expanding for Hallie, and burns it all to the ground. He then tries to kill himself, but is saved by his best man, Pompey Woody Strode. By itself, the scene is powerful and devastating, except later we learn that Tom actually killed Valance, mainly out of love for Hallie, which gives the entire sequence even more poignancy. McClintock, 1963. G.W. spanks Kate. John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara starred together 5 times throughout their long careers. While Rio Grande and The Quiet Man earned top marks, McClintock remains one of the duo's most iconic movies, if only because of the sequence advertised on the film's poster. Directed by Andrew V. McLaughlin, McClintock tells the story of an estranged husband and wife's efforts to repair their marriage while dealing with corrupt government officials, farmers, and land grabbers in late 1800s America. Somewhat based on William Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew, McClintock eventually arrives at a rowdy conclusion that sees George Washington G.W. McClintock, Wayne, chasing his half-naked wife Catherine O'Hara around town to give her a proper spanking. The sequence is outrageous fun and features crazy stunts, hundreds of extras, and goofy slapstick comedy, not typically found in the Duke's portfolio. At one point, Catherine flies through a store window. The feisty redhead leaps from buildings, tosses cans of food at her husband, and even falls into a horse trough, with comical results. Eventually, GW captures his wife and gives her a good spanking in front of the townsfolk, before riding off into the sunset. Don't worry, Catherine chases him down, and the two reconcile before the credits roll. The Cowboys, 1972. Will fights Asa. The Duke didn't die often in films, but you certainly felt it when he did. Example, Mark Rydell's 1972 feature, The Cowboys. Wayne's a tough-talking rancher, Will Anderson. He leads a group of schoolboys on a cattle drive and is killed by Bruce Dern. The tragedy comes late in the picture, when Will and the boys spot a gang following their herd and decide to hold up for the night. Dern, playing Asa Watts, wants the cattle and has tracked Will's group over hundreds of miles. Now he's ready to make his move. Asa ignores Will and torments one of the young boys in the group. Will eventually intervenes, challenging the much younger man. "I'm 30 years older than you are," the grizzled Will says. "Had my back broke once, my hip twice, and on my worst day I could beat the hell out of you." A brutal fistfight follows. Will eventually gains the upper hand, slams Asa into a tree, then turns away. Asa grabs a pistol, yells to Will to turn around, then shoots him in the arm. Will, ignoring the wound, continues walking, but Asa puts another in his leg, shoulder, then belly. It's a stomach-churning moment that symbolises Wayne's time to pass the torch to a younger, rougher crowd of cinematic heroes and villains. True Grit, 1969, The Charge. Earning a well-deserved Oscar for his portrayal of one-eyed, drunken US Marshal Reuben Rooster J. Cogburn in 1969's True Grit, based on the novel by Charles Portis, tells the story of young Matty Ross, Kim Darby, who hires Cogburn to find and arrest Tom Chaney, Jeff Corey, the man who murdered her father. Along the way, they team up with LaBeouf, a young Texas Ranger, Glenn Campbell, deal with outlaws such as Lucky Ned Pepper, Robert Duvall, and start a friendship. Directed by Henry Hathaway, it's a worthy showcase for the 62-year-old star. The aged actor is terrific as Rooster Cogburn, particularly in the shootout that ranks among the finest scenes of his career. Rooster, on horseback, confronts Ned and his gang alone, urging the outlaws' cohorts to stand aside. They laugh off his threats. Ned calls him a one-eyed fat man. Angered, Rooster pulls his rifle and revolver, clenches his horse's reins between his teeth, and yells, "Fill your hands, you son of a bitch." They charge at each other, guns blazing. The Duke manages to take them down, with a bit of help from LaBeouf. It's a heart-pounding sequence. No wonder Wayne took home the Golden Statue that year.
Well, Rooster, I'm shot to pieces.
Hooray for the man from Texas!
The Searchers, 1956. Ethan saves Debbie. The Searchers is one of the all-time great Western movies, a superbly directed, well-acted, beautifully filmed story about love, revenge, prejudice, and violence, with one of John Wayne's best performances as Ethan Edwards. Wayne plays a complex character struggling with a hatred of Native American Indians that started from a personal tragedy from his past and explodes when his niece, Debbie, Natalie Wood, is taken by a Comanche known as Scar, Henry Brandon. Ethan teams up with his adopted nephew, Martin, Jeffrey Hunter, to find and save his niece. A dangerous search that takes 5 years of their lives. Will Ethan give in to his hatred and kill his niece, as she is now part Comanche, or will the war veteran rescue her? The adventure comes to a head in a climax that sees Ethan, Martin, and a small army attack Scar's camp. Martin kills the Comanche leader. Ethan brutally scalps him. Ethan then turns his attention to Debbie. Our hero chases the young woman on horseback and appears seeming ready to deliver the final blow, but instead picks her up and quietly says, "Let's go home, Debbie." The music swells and the pair embrace in one of the greatest finales in Western history. This should have been Wayne's first Oscar. Stagecoach, 1939, Ringo Kid's introduction. John Wayne suffered through many obscure westerns for over a decade. Before John Wayne changed his fortunes and cast him as the Ringo Kid in the 1939 classic Stagecoach, Wayne's character first appeared in an all-time epic shot, during which the camera pushes into his face and captures his rugged, handsome features. illuminated by scenic Monument Valley, cocks his rifle with one hand, an innocent expression creasing his sweaty face. We now know Ringo is an outlaw who escaped prison to avenge his father and brother. The shot perfectly establishes Ringo as a brash young cowboy, ready for anything, albeit unaware of the trials to come. Larger than life, a hero Wayne would repeatedly portray over the remainder of his career. John Wayne became a household name and a Western cultural icon who is still beloved today. He owes it all to this role in Stagecoach.
Saw a ranch house burning last night.
Thank you for your time today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate likes and subscribers. Hit the notification bell to get my new videos. Take a look at my channel. The link is in the description. Bye for now. See you again soon.
Interesting facts about famous people.